sales training. We'll get started here in just a moment. I put the chat up on the screen. I see some people were already dropping comments there. Feel free to drop a comment there as you tune in. We appreciate it. Today, we're going to be talking about how to work mortgage leads. So some basic sales training here today. But it's always good to go over the basics. So remember, we do this at 12 p.m. Eastern time every weekday where we go through more of the front end of things, more of the sales end. We have plenty of trainings on the back end of doing loans that we do at the mortgage calculator, but this is the one we do focus more on the front end of things. So with that being said, I will take the chat off the screen. Feel free to keep dropping comments there as you tune in. We appreciate it. And we will go ahead and get it started. So when we talk about how to work mortgage leads, right now we're talking about how to do it in general a little bit here on the first slide. And then on the second slide, we're going to be talking about how to specifically do it here at the mortgage calculator and the processes that we have in place, right? But we'll go ahead and get it started here. Just in general, we don't ever take a lead for granted, right? When we're working our mortgage leads, we don't ever take a lead for granted. Every single lead is somebody. Right now, the beautiful part about this business is that everyone needs housing, right? So everyone in the well, technically the world, because they can purchase here with a foreign national program, but essentially everybody in the country, even outside of the country, is a potential client. Maybe they're a renter right now, but they could be a buyer later, all that kind of good stuff, right? So first thing here is we don't ever want to waste a lead, right? When we're getting these leads in the first place. We also want to realize and understand that leads are essentially assets to you, right? They remain an asset. Every single day that you're in this business, you're building up that asset of leads. And I'm not just talking about deals that you've already actually done, right? Those are building up clients. Those are building up people who can refer you deals, and that's great. I'm talking about even just the leads, right? You have an actual, there's literally a number you could put on, having X amount of leads in your database, as long as you're working them correctly, like we're going to be talking about here today. As long as you're doing the correct things, they are a huge asset. And especially at the mortgage calculator, when we give you leads on a daily basis, the more you do it, the more you call, the more you go in there and hit the auto dialer, pick up those recycled leads or whatever it is in there, the more you're building your asset. So I really like people to think about it like that. Your CRM literally is full of your assets, and every single day that you keep doing this, your assets grow stronger, and there will be money that comes out of that. And of course, we have to be consistent and persistent. Remember, when we're talking about how to work mortgage leads right now, I'm not talking about how to work a referral, right? That's simple. It's a referral, right? We all know how to do that. We do the loan. We've already somebody has already done the work for us and giving us that referral, right? What I'm talking about today, when we're talking about how to work mortgage leads, we're talking about just a lead that you purchased, or that we gave you, or that you just found online, or that you talked to in a Facebook group or something like that, right? We're talking about working leads, not people you know, not people that were referred to you by somebody you know, right? We're talking about actual just working a straight lead. And to do that, we have to be consistent and persistent, right? There's an online lead is not going to just immediately pick up the phone the first time you call them and say, hey, yeah, I'm ready to go. I have a purchase contract. I have all my documents ready. I'm ready for you to pull my credit right now. I mean, it just doesn't really happen, right, when you're working leads. So we have to be consistent, and we have to be persistent and follow up, because it's not just going to fall into our lap as if it were a referral, because an actual true referral is almost kind of something that falls into your lap, right? They're usually ready to go because they were talking to whoever referred them to you, told them this is what they're looking to do, and somebody said, hey, you should call my person at the mortgage calculator, right? So that's pretty easy. It kind of just happens. But when you're working leads, we got to be consistent, we got to be persistent, we got to stay top of mind always, right? And we have to be professional, right? When we talk to people, we can't get frustrated that they weren't answering the phone or say, oh, you're not very serious and hang up on them or just throw them to the side. Remember, we don't use funnels here at the Mortgage Calculator. We use the flywheel, and there's a whole training on the flywheel. I would definitely check it out if I were you on our YouTube page. I did a whole sales training on the flywheel, what it is and how it works. But that's what we do here. We're always professional because we're always keeping these leads. We're always keeping the flywheel spinning. We're not throwing people out and saying, oh, you weren't serious, I'm not answering you anymore. Or, I'm not following up with you anymore. Or, again, you're not weeding the leads out down into a funnel. That's what a funnel is all about. But here, every single lead is a lead. And maybe they won't even be one of your customers, but they could refer you a customer without being a customer, right? So we never waste a lead. We never take a lead for granted. We know that our leads are assets. They're in our CRM, whether they're eventually going to do a deal with us or eventually going to refer somebody to do a deal with us. So we got to be consistent. We got to be persistent. We got to stay top of mind, and we got to stay professional, even if we're frustrated, even if we don't think that they're going to do anything. We don't just write people off and say, oh, they're not serious, they're never going to do anything. We keep the same, we're unemotional about it, right? We keep the same exact system, same exact follow-ups, same exact professionalism all across the board for every single lead. So now let's talk about how we actually do this at the Mortgage Calculator, right? Which this is in the CRM trainings and stuff like that, but we'll go over it because we're talking about how to work mortgage leads. This is how we do it at the Mortgage Calculator, right? Step one is to always call the lead immediately. 1 minute is the maximum. You should be on the phone with this lead within 5 seconds. You should be calling this lead, right? You get the text to your phone, you click the link, it tells you who it is, what their phone number is, what they inquired about. You click call, it calls your phone, and now you're on the phone with that client, right? So there should be zero delay. 1 minute is the max. We always say 1 minute because you're 391% more likely to convert a lead if you contact them within the first minute, which is absolutely true. But we should be even faster than that, right? Because you're getting the text right to your phone, clicking the link immediately, calling them immediately. This process should take less than 10 seconds, right? The main goal for us is to say, hey, there's a person to say, whoa, this is crazy. I'm still on your site, or I'm still looking at your ad. And you know what you say? You say, yeah, I'm on top of it. That's how I'm going to be for your mortgage, right? I'm here for you. I reached out immediately, want to make sure that we take care of you. I'm always here, et cetera, et cetera. Use that as your little sales pitch there. Now, hopefully we get a hold of them. That's the goal, right? At the Mortgage Calculator, we have the scripts in the CRM all set up for you to use right there while you're dialing them. And there's always going to be the script there. We're going to take our notes. We're going to, get the information to send them a quote and all that kind of stuff. And that's the goal, right? But if there's no answer, what do? Just like we go over in the trainings, we send them a text and we send them an email and we set a follow-up task for the next day, right? The next day, we come in there, we give them a call. If they don't answer, we text them and we email them and we set a follow-up task for the next day. The next day, we come in, we give them a call. If they don't answer, we text them, we email them, and we set a follow-up task for a month out, right? And then at that point, we put them on an action plan, also known as a drip campaign, but in the Mortgage Calculator CRM, we call it an action plan, which is going to automatically email them and text them on your behalf over time. So this plan here is essentially for when somebody doesn't answer, right? From the second bullet point down here, right? Hopefully we get a hold of them when we do call them, but more often than not, they might not answer. Remember that, nowadays people don't know numbers. They don't answer them. They think it's spam and stuff. But a lot of the times it's after you call, sending them the text and the email is what lets them know, okay, this is that person. I'm actually interested in talking to them. That's something to keep in mind, is that's one of the reasons why you also want to call first, because what happens is once we call first and then we follow up with the text and email, they know we're a real person, right? It wasn't a robocall. We called and then we said, hey, this is Kyle from the Mortgage Calculator. Just tried to give you a call. Give me a call when you have a minute to talk, right? So now they know actually who it was. They'll either give you a call back, or maybe they'll text you back, email you back, whatever the situation is. So make sure we always call immediately, right? Never skip that part. Some loan officers that are a little afraid to call have tried to skip that part, right? Well, that's, we have to let you go at the Mortgage Calculator if you do that, right? That's the entire point of our entire system, is to call every lead the second that you get it. So make sure you're not trying to circumvent that and say, oh, I just sent them a text and I just sent them an email. We must call. That's the entire point, right? So don't ever not call a lead. We must call the lead immediately. And then again, if they don't answer, we're going to go through these steps. Now, most of the time it's the texts that are most engaging, right? So that's why every single part of this is important. It's also important for them to know, again, that you were a real person. So doing all three methods, calling them, texting them, and emailing them. You're taking the time saying, hey, I'm a real person. I'm trying to get a hold of you through all the different channels. When you have a minute, contact me back and I'm here, right? So we're really reaching out to them. And one of the biggest things when people are getting a call from a number they don't recognize is you making them understand that you are a real person and that it wasn't some automated call, and that you can text, right? When people are getting spam calls from people they don't want to talk to, those people can't usually text them, right? That's a big thing. It's like when you're getting calls from 1-800 numbers and stuff, they're not usually texting them, right? You're letting them know, hey, this is me. I just called you. This is my cell phone number. Please text me back or call me back. So that's one of your first challenges there, is for an online lead to just get over that hump of like, hey, I'm a real person, right? Even if they know that they gave their information to the mortgage company and they said, oh yeah, I clicked on the ad, they still might think you're some person, call center person in some big office where they're not talking to you on your phone number, right? We as loan officers want to make sure that they know, hey, I am your loan consultant. You can call me, text me anytime, email me directly. I am not some corporate person in some office that you have to call a call center to get a hold of, right? That's part of what we're trying to get across here is, hey, I'm a real person. I'm your person. I'm here. You can call me. You can text me. You can email me. Now they have a call from you, so they can click call to call you right back. They have a text from you, so they can text you right back. And they have an email from you, so they can email you right back. So you've given them all those different opportunities on each platform to where they don't have to look your info up. You have it right there. They want to text you back. Your text is already to them. They can just text you right back. If they feel like emailing, your email's already there in their inbox. They can just open it and email you right back, right? So it's our job to make sure that we've contacted them on all the different platforms, which gives them the opportunity to not only know that we're a real person and we're doing personal business with them, but also to be able to have at their fingertips the ability to just right away text, email, or call us back. It's all set up right there on their phone to where they can do it immediately instead of having to try to go, search. You called them and they're like, oh, I don't really want to talk on the phone. Let me email this person, right? Oh, it's right there at the top of their inbox. Perfect. Just respond to my email, and that's totally fine. So again, Mortgage Calculator, we never deviate from this. Every single lead we call them within seconds. If they don't answer, we send them the text, email, follow-up task for the next day, call, text, email, follow-up task for the next day, call, text, email, follow-up task for the next day. So we're talking about 3 days in a row, we're contacting them through all three communication methods, right? We're calling them, texting them, and emailing them 3 days in a row. At that point, if they haven't answered or engaged, we put them on an action plan. That's going to automatically engage them over time, right? Now, don't forget, we're always going to have a follow-up task set for the future to call them, though, right? Remember, the computer can text them and email them on your behalf all at once here when it puts them on an action plan. It can text and email them forever on your behalf, right? But it can never call them on your behalf. It can never call a lead for us, right? That's a computer. It can text them and email them all day. But we have to call them. So that's why this last follow-up task here, remember from our trainings, you set for a month out because you're saying, hey, I tried to contact them 3 days in a row through all three methods. Now I'm going to put them on an action plan so that the system keeps texting and emailing them. And I'm going to try to give them a call in a month, which is what you set that last follow-up task for, is going to be set out for a month, because we'll let the system email them and text them and keep in touch and try to get them to engage. But at the end of the day, the system can't call them. So at least once a month, we need to try to give them a ring and see if we can re-engage them. So we always want to have, remember, every single lead in our system should have a task set for the future, a reminder, a follow-up task, or else it's going to be left behind. Remember the motto, no lead left behind, right? Every lead has to have some kind of task pushing it forward into the future, or else it's just going to be left behind and forgotten. Because again, remember, we're dealing with online leads here for the most part. We're going to have thousands of them, right? This is not just like somebody referred you somebody and you're only working with a few people. Those are great. But right now we're talking about leads. We're going to have a ton of them. We're going to need to keep them organized. We're going to need to follow this exact method here to make sure we're working them all equally and properly. And we're going to need to make sure that something is always pushing it into the future, or else it just becomes a contact in our CRM that we just forget about, right? So everything has to always be pushing into the future. That's very important. Let's see. Corey's asking a question here. For reference, if we are in the dialer calling leads, those people get put into our CRM. Are the 3-day 9-touch rules still in play? Yeah, absolutely. You still want to call everybody. You still want to, do everything exactly correct, right? Unless you're calling cold calls, right? The cold call list, that's not going to apply to, right? So you want to make sure you're doing everything the same way if it's anything besides a cold call, right? Or a realtor call. Those are considered cold calls as well. So, you guys know which ones they pull up. They're obviously, they're obviously cold calls. Can't call them if they're not on can't call them if they're on the DNC and all that kind of good stuff we go over on the training. So if it's one of those cold call lists, then that's not applicable. But if it is, say, a recycled lead list or a regular purchase list or bank statement list or one of these lists with actual opted-in leads, you do want to follow that same procedure there for sure. All right. I don't see any other questions. I guess we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Pretty simple training here today. I have some more complex ones coming up for the rest of this week, but I just wanted to go through the basics here and make sure that we all remember kind of the basics of just making sure we don't take leads for granted. We're always building our assets, and we got to be on top of them, stay top of mind, stay professional, and again, just follow these steps here that are in the training. The mortgage calculator training, maybe you want to go back and look at it. The CRM training is the training where we outline exactly how to work each lead. So thank you everybody for tuning in. Appreciate it. We will see you tomorrow, 12 p.m. Eastern, for the next episode of the Loan Officer Sales Training with